Hey everybody, my name is Paul Eston Jr., aka Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25. We are streaming live simultaneously in 3 different places. My Twitter account, @BoyGreen25. You can see it on the scrolling ticker. On my YouTube account, again, youtube.com/BoyGreen25. And of course, on the Heavy on Jets Facebook page, a community of New York Jets fans with over 16,000 strong. Make sure you guys go check it out. Again, Heavy on Jets on Facebook for articles, memes, gifs, jokes, and all kinds of fun jazz. Make sure you dive in. Well, why we're jumping on the stream right now is because Rich Cimini of ESPN dropped a very juicy nugget in his Sunday morning column suggesting that the New York Jets are keeping an eye on 3 potential big-time trades in the wide receiver market. And those 3 big trades, folks, for those who are watching at home, are for potentially A.J. Brown of the Tennessee Titans. That trade they're keeping an eye on. Debo Samuel of the San Francisco 49ers. And, of course, DK Metcalf of the Seattle Seahawks. We'll be talking about each one of those situations here in a moment. And also, wherever you're watching, feel free to drop in some questions, comments, or topics. Wherever you're watching, again, we're streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Wherever you're watching, drop your comment in, and we'll bring it up here on the show. Again, my name is Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. Let's go to the nugget from Rich Cimini first. I found this very interesting this morning. We already have it up on the Heavy on Jets Facebook page. Kind of diving into this in a little bit more detail, but I think it is interesting to note. Again, here's the full piece from Rich Cimini saying the Jets this morning are, quote, keeping an eye on a potential trade for A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, and Debo Samuel. All 3 of those players are entering the final year of their rookie contracts, and with the wide receiver market blowing up, contract-wise, again, Tyreek Hill getting crazy money, Devontae Adams getting crazy money, that perhaps these teams will think twice about paying the piper. And if they're going to hesitate to pay the piper, that's where the Jets obviously could come into the fold. Now, there has at no point been any indication that any of these guys are available, but what I would say is the same thing that happened with Tyreek Hill. We didn't know he was available until, of course, well, he was available. So there's some interesting nuggets on each of these stories that could lead us to a potential path for these guys to get traded. To me, now here's some of my opinion here. Those are some of the facts, some of the reports and things going on out there. The trade that I think is the most realistic, the most I could see happening, is the DK Metcalf trade with the Seattle Seahawks. Think about it. Russell Wilson is traded. Their quarterback is Drew Lock. They don't seem to really be in a position to contend now that Wilson's gone, and DK Metcalf is incredibly young. This is a guy who unbelievably is only 24 years of age, and he is due a massive contract extension. Okay, and he's put up some video game numbers since being the number 64 overall pick in the second round of the 2019 NFL Draft. 216 catches, 3,170 yards, and 29 touchdowns. His spot track market value, which is a projection of what he could command, is a deal that pays him $20.6 million annually on a new multi-year deal, which would make him the 3rd highest paid wide receiver in all of football. But it's even hard to even put a pin on that because it's just moving and grooving so much. So DK Metcalf, to me, is the one that makes the most sense. I could see that trade happening, and we've had some Seahawks insiders recently say this week that they actually anticipated to happen. And if he does, the Jets will move in. I can't tell you this. The Jets have already called the Seattle Seahawks about DK Metcalf, and they said, hey, we're interested, baby. Now, Seattle at that phone call said, he's not available. Again, that's fine, but the Jets already made the call. They are, quote, monitoring the situation. So they are on the precipice. They're on the edge saying, hey, if he becomes available, we can talk. And we know the Jets are aggressive and looking for something because look at the Tyreek Hill deal, okay? They're willing to give up 35 in the second round, 38 in the second round, and 69 in the third round to go get Tyreek Hill and, of course, give him the fat contract extension that comes with it. So they're willing to risk it to get the biscuit. DK Metcalf, to me, is the one that I think makes the most sense. Let's talk about the one that's been kind of buzzing this week. That is A.J. Brown of the Tennessee Titans. Rich Cimini also on his podcast said, quote unquote, I'd watch the Jets if the Titans made A.J. Brown available this offseason. He's 24 years old, will be 25 before the start of the 2022 season. He's also, as we said, a commonality with these three receivers, is entering the last year of his rookie contract with a $4.5 million cap hit. Now, again, the precipice of all these deals, they're all entering the last years of their rookie contracts, which means they will be due a massive extension. And all of these guys, of course, have seen the money that Tyreek Hill just got. They saw the money that Devontae Adams just got. They're going to be looking for their own money. Now, Tennessee Titans general manager John Robinson said the team has had some very preliminary contract discussions with Brown's camp. But again, this money is getting into funky territory. The Spot Track market value had him at $17.3 million per clip on a multi-year deal. But again, at the end of the day, it's hard to even project what these guys are going to want because they're going to all look at each other to potentially make something happen. And the latest deal is potentially with Debo Samuel. Like I said, keep dropping in your questions or comments. We'll get into all of those in a second. But folks, you would normally say when you see these three names, again, DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel, and A.J. Brown, you say, who would ever trade those guys? They're so talented. Of course their teams would want to keep them. Well, here's the thing I would say. There's been 9 blockbuster trades with 39 Pro Bowl selections cumulatively that have been moved in a 16-day span. We're talking Russell Wilson, Carson Wentz, Khalil Mack, Amari Cooper, Yannick Ngakoue, Devontae Adams, Deshaun Watson, Matt Ryan, Tyreek Hill. I mean, quite frankly, I think the next natural question is who the heck is next? And that could be Debo Samuel. Jose Sanchez III, who covers the 49ers for Sports Illustrated, said that could be Debo Samuel. And he said a lot of things that would make you go, wow, I didn't even know he'd be available, to be honest. To me, well, I thought, of course, the 49ers are going to keep Debo Samuel. He is their entire offense, but there's been some whispers and rumors that perhaps he could be available. And that, to me, is interesting because Jose said, quote, without question, the 49ers could move Samuel, and adding, it is a, quote, fair possibility that he could be moved. And he added one more nugget saying no players off limits on the 49ers, including Debo Samuel. Let's get into some of the questions and comments from all the people diving in here on the show. Brian Still, howdy. How you guys doing? Make sure you like the video. Hit subscribe on YouTube for great content. NY Jets fan 4, Boy Green. I love it here on a Sunday. What's up, brother? How are you, man? What's new? All this wide receiver trade. You know, Jet fans were crying for 5 seconds when we lost Tyreek Hill. Oh, man, that would have been cool. And all of a sudden, we've moved on, baby. We're looking at all these other options that are hanging in the balance to be possible. Charlie M., let's go to that one first. Paulie, I need some DK. Yes, sir. That's my favorite, to be honest with you. It's my favorite and most realistic. I think the other guys all of them are good. This is, quote, what the kids call a first world problem. Again, any of these guys would be fantastic, obviously. But DK, the size, the speed, of course, the prior relationship with Elijah Moore, that's kind of interesting to me. So you have that nugget, right? Former teammates. A.J. Brown, you have former teammates, and they're hanging out for A.J. Brown's birthday, by the way. Or Elijah Moore's birthday, rather, who happy 22nd birthday to Elijah Moore today. That's pretty cool. And then, of course, Debo Samuel. There's all the obvious connections to the 49ers staff, Robert Saleh, John Benton, Mike LaFleur. So that's a lot. But I really like DK. Neil Glassman, which of the three do you think is the best fit? Now, this is interesting because depending on all the trades that have become available, right? The Jets were in on Amari Cooper. They were in on Robert Woods. They were in on Tyreek Hill. Now, the level of their inness is up for debate, but they did their homework. And, you know, all those players sometimes have different sides, big guys, small guys. We've talked about Drake London in the draft, Garrett Wilson in the draft, and all these others. I don't think there's a particular certain fit they're looking for, a 6 foot this or 100-pound this. I don't think that's what they're looking for. I think they're just looking for a number one wide receiver, a guy that could come in and change the dynamic of the offense like Tyreek Hill would have, and then the ripple effects it would have on the rest of the offense. So I think you can make a strong argument for any of them. Let's kind of walk our way through. Debo Samuel, the fit would be obvious. I mean, since the 49ers came over, right, when Robert Saleh, Mike LaFleur, and everybody came over, one of the first questions all of us Jets fans asked each other was simply this. We said, who can be the Debo Samuel of this offense? Well, the perfect Debo Samuel of this offense would, of course, be Debo Samuel. So if you could bring him in, then, of course, he would be a natural fit. The ability to do some of those jet sweeps and things and just be a pure running back. He's got some Brutus beefcake. He's got some chutzpah where he could kind of run up between the tackles. Having that kind of versatility would be fascinating. He's a Swiss Army knife. He's terrific. That fit is obvious. DK could be that guy that brings a vertical element to the passing game, that deep threat guy, big body, red zone, mismatch, nightmare, could be pretty nice. So obviously that's a natural fit. And A.J. Brown is just a perfect blend of a lot of those different things. I just think he's a big body, can kind of, box you out, do a little bit of that basketball game to him. And I think it would complement Elijah Moore really well. So again, I wish I could answer your question, Neil, with just a clear this or a clear that. But to be honest with you, I think all of them would be great fits in this offense. Christian, welcome back. We back on here, baby. Yes, sir. We try to do this all the time. Again, we have a phenomenal interview coming up tomorrow at 8 a.m. I'll give you guys that little tease, by the way. Leger Dusable, 10-year NFL veteran. He'll be joining me tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. on this YouTube channel. Make sure you don't miss it. Hit the subscribe button and that little bell notification so you never miss a video. So I'm looking forward to that interview. Again, Leger Dusable for the very first time joining me on the show. That should be fun. Again, 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, Monday morning for Mock Draft Monday, baby, which is great. Let's go to David D on YouTube. Hey, Boy Green, happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you, David. Thanks for joining us. Titans expected to make the playoffs with AJ. Would that change if the Jets get Brown? Jets would certainly be close to being playoff bound. Now, think about it this way. This is how I compare these situations again, because obviously Titan fans who are lighting up the tweet I saw, no way we trade A.J. Brown. We're a contender. It doesn't make any sense. We're the number 1 seed last year, and all that is true. What about the Chiefs? Are they suddenly going into rebuild mode? Of course not. So, again, it's the money. That's what it comes down to. Contractual, okay? Not everyone is willing to pay the piper. The Chiefs weren't willing to pay the piper on Tyreek Hill, which, by the way, raised a red flag. Like, why weren't they willing to pay that guy? But that's neither here nor there. That doesn't matter anymore. But the point is, it's about that money. I still think the Titans would be a contender, right? You got Tannehill, and I think they'll go after a quarterback. I've heard a lot of Spencer Rattler and not Spencer Rattler, LOL, Desmond Ridder. There's been all kinds of rumors about them diving in on some of the quarterbacks that could be available. So we'll keep an eye on that. And obviously for the Jets, again, one of my big things here is you try to improve the roster. You try to bring some juice to the team. And obviously a guy like A.J. Brown would certainly do that. So it's not just about being 1 or 2 pieces away from contending for a championship. It's about improving the offense and making sure without a shadow of a doubt you have enough protection, playmakers, and everything to make sure you can properly evaluate Zach Wilson. And that will not be the same, mistake they made with Sam Darnold. All right, let's go back to Christian here on Facebook. Again, heavy on Jets on Facebook. The only way we could get our voices heard is taking it to the net and make MetLife show that we really want them there because says the fans member of the team. Go Jets, baby. Yes, cheer for it. Yell for it on social media. Show their love. I think that'd be awesome. Let's go to Mitch Weisenstein. Hey, how you been, buddy? Whatever it takes, we need DK. Number 10 pick and a 3rd rounder. That'd be a little rich for me. Mitch. I didn't mean to rhyme for that on purpose, but I'm just that talented. Think about the deal that Tyreek Hill just went for, where he got the 35, 38 in 69, and they got a late 3rd back, which would have been in the right outside the top 100. So I think 10 would be rich again for any of these guys because the fact of the matter is they're going to need a brand new contract. I don't think I'm willing to give up 10. It's not just, at 10, we could probably get any receiver like Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Chris Olave, Traylon Burks, whoever, and DK is better than those guys. It's not that simple because, again, you have to pay them contractually. You have to trade assets to acquire them. So I don't think it's that simple to do it. For me, I would do some combination of 35, 38, and other picks. And again, if Tyreek Hill could go for 35, 38, and 69, Tyreek Hill is more proven than any of these players, okay? Tyreek Hill has a proven track record of success, a 6-time Pro Bowler, okay? A former All-Pro. These guys, while all talented and super young, obviously, they're all on their rookie contracts, they don't have the same track record. So I wonder how that translates because, of course, the Jets would want the youth, but they don't have the track record of the same success. That's a lot of projecting. They're all really good players, though. So 10 and 3rd rounder would probably be a bit rich for me, but I can chat, obviously, because any of these guys would be phenomenal. Let's go to a different Christian on YouTube. Christian Jameson, do you think the Jets could lure a vet DB and linebacker in free agency still? Also, who do you think is on the Jets' radar? First off, for DB, I doubt it. I just don't really see it. I mean, obviously, they were trying to do their homework on Marcus May, but I don't see another safety out there unless Honey Badger, who somehow is still hanging out there, and the Jets really liked him. I wonder if his money would come so low that he would come to the Jets. Obviously, he's still out there here in late March, which is kind of weird. But outside of that, no, I don't anticipate it until after the draft at DB. At linebacker, 100%. I want a proven linebacker. I like C.J. Mosley. I like Quincy Williams. but I want a proven linebacker that's got a high floor that kind of protects you, because if you don't get something in the draft, you still got your linebacker in free agency. So to me, that would still be important. In terms of who's on the Jets' radar, there's a position you didn't name that I think they're doing a lot of homework in for, again, a cost-effective option. Look at defensive tackle, okay? I wrote a piece about it this week where we talked about, of course, guys like Akeem Hicks. That could make sense. Sheldon Richardson reunion, maybe, perhaps. That could be out there. Linval Joseph is out there. Those are names. Defensive tackle. Getting some of that love on the defensive line makes sense. They never replaced Foley Fatukasi. They did bring back Nathan Shepard, but what does Nathan Shepard bring to the table? Good depth, I guess, but we need some chutzpah there on the inside. That's what I would look for before the draft. I think they're going to make a cost-effective acquisition on the interior defensive line. I think that's important. Don't be surprised at a draft pick as well, although I don't want an interior defensive lineman within the top 10. I think you should go edge. You can convince me with wide receiver. You can convince me with corner. But interior D-line, I would rather not see that. We've seen that enough with the Jets recently. Give me edge. Give me proven pass rush. Edward Delgado, what's up, Paul? Good to see you on. Go Jets. Again, by the way, folks, this beautiful banner behind me is from Edward Delgado. You can check him out, obviously, right here on YouTube as well. But go check him out. He made that beautiful banner behind me. You see that with a Jets logo, my name on the back. Check out Edward Delgado, El Chapo of Flags on social media. He's phenomenal. Can make you a custom banner. So shout out to Edward. Thank you so much, pal. I appreciate it. And thank you for the kind words. Jay Callie Carter, do you think any moves would be made before the draft? To me, Jay, to be honest with you, if these moves are going to be made, it's going to have to come before the draft, because then all of a sudden, then you're projecting out picks. It was unique that the Jets, for Jamal Adams, to use him as the example, the Jets waited till right before training camp to trade him. That was weird, because you trade him away, making your team worse, obviously, and then all the picks you got were for the future, right? So the Jets got the ABT pick last year, and then they have number 10 this year. But I think teams, if they trade A.J. Brown, Debo Samuel, DK Metcalf, whoever, they're going to want those picks immediately to help them now. So if a trade's going to happen, for me, it's going to be before the draft. I think that's 100% how it's going to happen. By the way, quick reminder, because I'm going to try to answer all your questions. I see it's overloaded in here, but if you want to guarantee that I answer your questions on YouTube, you can do what's called a super chat. You can give a little tip, and you will jump to the front of the line. So you guys have a burning question and want to support the channel, feel free to give me a super chat, and I can see it immediately. But like I said, I always try to answer all your questions no matter what, but appreciate the support for the channel. Again, thumbs up on the video, hit subscribe. New York Jets content all day, every day, baby, right here on YouTube. And again, we're also streaming live on my Twitter account and Facebook, heavy on Jets. Let's keep rolling here. Fatty Getling Fit would be keen for us to add any of them, but something nice about A.J. Brown and Elijah Moore balling. No question. They're best friends. They talk every day. There's a little touchy-feely there that, of course, you have to love. So their relationship's super cool. And, of course, DK Metcalf is a former guy. But if there was one that was touchy-feely and plucked at my heartstrings, how could you not pick A.J. Brown and Elijah Moore? I agree. Jay Callie Carter, we're going to be the Jets Niners soon. I'm not even kidding. I've talked to a few 49ers people, and they openly joke that the Jets are the New York 49ers or the San Francisco Jets, 49ers on the East Coast. I'm not even kidding. 49ers people joke about that all the time. It is completely serious, although there is not as many 49ers connections as you would have thought, right? Like there's Tevin Coleman. There's a couple of guys. The coaching staff obviously is littered with them, but in terms of actual players, there's not as many 49ers players yet. Maybe that comes via trade. Maybe that comes in late stages of free agency here. That's kind of interesting. There's not a lot of those connections from the past on the roster. Let's go to Charles M here on YouTube. Getting a wide receiver now changes everything in the draft. JD can then capitalize on their high picks to get an edge in a corner. 100%, Charles. That's why I am an advocate for multiple reasons. First off, what you said, the obvious draft flexibility would be terrific, because then you could get your Kayvon Thibodeau and then Sauce in a beautiful scenario and get your wide receiver without one of those picks would be terrific. And I think the other thing, what I love about adding a veteran wide receiver is what they are. There's no guessing. There's no speculation. There's no transition. A.J. Brown is good. Debo Samuel is good. DK Metcalf is good. So that's another big reason I like it, but that's a good comment, Charles. Jared Helmuth, be ready for the don't take Kayvon Thibodeau at 4. Love Leger Dusable. 100%. You will hear some things from Leger. He talks about, he also gives an update on Carl Lawson's rehab. I have some videos out on that on Twitter, but he has a cool little nugget story on that, which was really cool. That drops, but he is not a big Kayvon Thibodeau guy. He's a Jermaine Johnson guy, for those who want to know. But expect some takes. I like Leger. He gave some takes, and obviously he also commented on the Jets free agents. So there's a really good interview. Again, I hadn't had the chance. I've known Leger obviously as a Jets fan, but also as a reporter and kind of seeing him rise up the field. He's doing work at ESPN, SNY TV. So again, folks, that Leger Dusable interview drops tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Some good stuff in there. Some good draft nuggets in there too. Steven, what's up, peeps? What's popping? Welcome to the show. Let's see. Let's go to Christian Jameson. Do you think the Chiefs will try to trade up in the draft to find Hill's replacement? No question. Think about the combinations. They got 29 and 30 in the first round. Also have a couple of second rounders. So they can package. And I mean, it's going to cost a lot. It may cost the entire Hill package, quite frankly, to launch back up where they want. That sweet spot at wide receiver could start at 10. With the Jets, maybe at 8 with the Falcons, but they got a ton of needs, but somewhere in that 10 to 25 range, 10 to 25. That's where all the receivers are going to go off the board. But if they want their pick of the litter, they're going to have to launch up, baby. They're going to have to launch up high. It's going to cost a lot of their picks to do so. I'm curious for a team like, let's say, the Jets. Would the Jets want to trade all the way back that far, 29-30 range? Ooh, that seems – because then you're just kicking out. While I get there's depth, I get there's draft analysts that say the difference between – player 15 on the board and 40, there isn't a tremendous difference. So maybe they will. That just seems like a huge drop. I feel like if the Jets drop from 10, they're going to want to stay within the top 15, top 20. I don't know if they're going to want to go back that far unless a future first rounder is also included. Maybe then they'll do it. But from the Chiefs side, 100%, they're going to immediately try to replace him. Look out for Jameson Williams. He's like the Tyreek Hill of this class. He's coming off, obviously, a tough injury in the college football playoff, but he's a guy I think they like a lot. Talking Jets with Tigo. Oh, welcome to the channel. Does this report mean anything really? Like the Jets and any team should keep an eye on superstar wide receivers trades. Is this real? AJ and DK actual options maybe, or is this just talk? Great question, Talking Jets. Here's what I'll say. The keeping an eye on it, I think, is somewhat relevant, and here's why. Because the Jets are not giving up. They have not just moved on. They have a bounty of picks. They still have the cap space. So keeping an eye on this, I think, is actually more legitimate than ever, especially in the craziness of this NFL offseason. Because if you really think about it, I mean, Tyreek Hill trade didn't happen until it happened. These are the situations to monitor. A.J. Brown's do a new deal. DK Metcalf's do a new deal. Debo's do a new deal. They're going to be talking with them and say, hey, how much are you looking for? And they say some crazy number. Then those team goes, poof. I mean, do we want to sign this guy right now, or do we want to draft his replacement? I think these are all real conversations are really keeping an eye on. You can see Joe Douglas is aggressive. And I think the other big thing, obviously, about this is that he wants to make a move, and this would be the move to make. So to me, I think this is real talk. I'm not trying to get Jet fans' hopes up again and then potentially come crashing down. Am I guaranteeing these trades are going to happen? Absolutely not. But what I can say is the DK one seems to have real buzz. Okay, out of the three, and I've heard and I've had individual stories. It's on the Twitter thread. You guys can check it out. But I have individual stories on each of the wide receivers. And my buddy Michael for Heavy on Jets is doing the overall report from this morning. He's doing a column that should be out on Heavy on Jets soon. But the individual pieces to me, DK Metcalf is one I think he's getting traded. I just feel like he's getting dealt. I just feel like the Seahawks in their current stage with no quarterback on there. Drew Lock sucks. Okay. I'm not sorry, Drew Lock, but you're not good. Okay, you're not Russell Wilson. So for the Seahawks, it would behoove them to trade DK for a huge package, whatever that looks like, and then accelerate your own rebuild. You know what? You traded away Russell Wilson. You're not competing anymore. You're not contending unless you got Deshaun Watson, which obviously they didn't. They're not competing. They're not contending. So to me, I would ship him off to the highest bidder. That's what I would do. If you're feeling unsure about which wide receiver to take DK. Nick Russo. Again, I love DK, baby. That would be great. That'd be great. Mitch is right. He is a bit older, Tyreek. That is the one difference, obviously, but the base is the same in terms of contract. That was the whole breadth. And maybe there's more to it. We will find out on Tyreek if there's some stuff off the field that we're unaware of. But he was older. That is and more proven, which is obviously a piece of the puzzle as well. But these guys getting paid is a big thing. Charles on YouTube. I always wonder why it costs more to move up in the draft than it does to trade for a proven NFL player. Again, it's that great DJ Bieneme of the New York Daily News shared the clip, but that's always what I think about. It's the Family Guy scene. I don't know if you guys saw it, right? Where there's a box where you can take the boat, right? And then, Peter Griffin, of course, goes, whoa, 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 Lois, we could get the boat, but anything could be in the box. Hell, even a boat could be in the box. And everyone is intrigued by the mystery. What could the player be? That's what is so interesting about the draft, is that, anything can happen. That pick can be anything. That pick could be a Hall of Famer. That pick could be a bust. There's such a volatile nature to the draft, which, again, excites all of us and why I'm such a huge fan of the draft. So it always costs more to move up for the mystery. You don't know what the mystery is. The contract stuff, right? If you think of the proven player thing, the contract, I don't want to trade for him. I'm going to have to pay him. Oh, man, I don't want to trade for this. He's older, whatever the reason is. Again, that just has always been the nature of the beast. Marcelo, 2005. I don't know if I'd rather have AJ or DK. Both would be sick. To me, like I said, even when we talk about this, DK over AJ, like, it's first world problem, baby. I mean, all of it's great. Hey, any one would be good for me. I am not picky. Give me any of them. That'd be phenomenal. John Bradley on YouTube. Hi, Paul. Love from Scotland. How do you feel going into the season with Moore as wide receiver 1, Davis wide receiver 2, and Berrios wide receiver 3, and then take a receiver in the draft in the second round since the draft is deep with wide receivers? Well, I'll tell you this, John. I am a massive Elijah Moore fan, and again, I said it earlier, but happy 22nd birthday. He turned 22 today, celebrating it with A.J. Brown, which is kind of cool. Corey Davis, I think, is a solid number 2, so that's great. Moore, I think, can be a wide receiver 1. I don't know if he is right now. I feel like that'd be a little aggressive, a little optimistic speaking. Again, I think he's got the potential. I think he's a star in the making. And Berrios, wide receiver 3. I like Berrios. In a perfect world, he's wide receiver 4, gizmo gadget guy. You could use him in a lot of different areas, and plus he's a returner, so you can keep him fresh. I would take a wide receiver. And if I was going to take it, I'd take it in the first round. Here's why. I think you can't afford just to wait for the wide receiver to come to you, because that's what you're doing. At 35 and 38, if you choose that strategy, you're just sitting back saying, whatever wide receiver comes to me, I like Jahan Dotson, George Pickens, whoever, but you're just being complacent. I don't like being complacent at the wide receiver position. What I like is you being aggressive and you identifying whoever, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks, whoever. I don't know who the coaching staff likes. I mean, I've seen who they have done visits with, like Treylon Burks and others, and talked to, so maybe I get an inkling of who they like. But overall, whoever they identify and saying this is a game-changing guy, we're going with him. If they choose not to trade for a superstar wide receiver, then in the draft, pick your guy and let's go to town. So I would go wide receiver in the first round. But if you trade for one, then you don't have to. So it opens up a lot of things. But I think no matter what, within reason, depending, I guess, on what happens, I think they go multiple wide receiver approach. They got 9 picks in the 2022 NFL draft. I think they either get one in the first round, then one like in the mid rounds, 4th, 5th round maybe, and that's your wide receiver combination. But you need more depth. If you think about kind of the stack outside of Denzel Mims just popping, maybe he can be a role player on this team. I know everyone's forgotten about him, but think about Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, Braxton Berrios, but you don't have a Keelan Cole on the roster anymore. He's unsigned. Maybe they bring him back. I think there's interest. Jamison Crowder is kind of hanging in the wind. He's now with the Buffalo Bills, so he's not there anymore. So you're missing that depth at the 4-5 spot. 3, 4, 5 spot, maybe that comes in the draft, but I would like a high floor veteran that you kind of know what you're getting there. But interesting thought, John. Interesting thought. I think, like I said, Elijah can be a wide receiver 1, but I'm not sure if you can bank on that heading into next season. Let him naturally evolve or seize the moment kind of thing from that perspective. YouTube, David Goodstein. Do you think the possibly gaining compensatory picks are the reason why JD is not signing additional free agents? No, because it's a complicated formula, and the Jets haven't gotten comp picks in a long time. And basically, the layman's term of the comp pick formula, it's more complicated than this, is that, depending on what you spend to what you lose, you could get comp picks in the future. And again, remember the Jets lost Foley, 3-year deal, $30 million, and Marcus May, actually a nice deal, 3-year, basically $30 million. This was like 28.5. But no, I don't believe so. The Jets have spent obviously more than they've lost. Laken Tomlinson, $40 million, CJ Uzomah, $24 million, Tyler Conklin, $21 million. Like, they still spent more. So I don't anticipate any comp picks, but any comp pick expert can feel free to come on here and make the pitch to me why. But no, I believe that's the reason he hasn't signed any additional guys. I think they're just kind of letting the market play out, David. That's how I'd pick it. Let's see. Mitch, DK is a stud. Absolutely, he is. Like that. All right, let's go to Jared Helmuth. We heard how much Salah likes Fant. We don't expect him to get moved, but what are the chances the Jets draft a replacement for McGovern and trade him? Linderbaum, Z Johnson, etc. I do have a column coming out on this at some point this week. I do believe the Jets are very much in the conversation to replace McGovern, but it's going to be one of those uncomfortable situations where they're not going to move on from Connor McGovern until they have his replacement. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast, quite frankly. So, Linderbaum. That could be a possible trade-up option for the Jets if he starts slipping in the class. That could be interesting. I love Zion Johnson, and he did a little bit of center work at the Senior Bowl, which a lot of teams really seem to love. He has potential. Either way, one of those guys I think would be certainly worth kicking the tires on and doing your homework, and then you save all that money on the back end. That could be fascinating. Let's go to Anthony Cook on YouTube. Paul, do you think DK will command a higher or lower contract compared to 4 years, $100 million? So it'd be 25 per. Oh God, that it'll be lower than that, I would imagine. I think it's going to be somewhere in that sweet range. It'll be 20 plus, but 2020, 2021, 2022, somewhere in that range. It will not, I would be flabbergasted if it surpassed 25 million plus per year. Again, there's just not enough of a sample size there. Maybe the Seahawks have no choice and they end up getting that kind of money. But to me, I would be somewhat surprised if it's 25 plus because, Tyreek's hovered around 30. Let's see, Devontae Adams is somewhere in that 28, 29 range. Hopkins is somewhere in that 27, 28 range, but I don't think it gets to 25, to be honest with you. But maybe, you never know because of how everything's blowing up. Like Steven, for instance, he says, oh yeah, they're getting 25, 30 easily. So maybe we'll see. I don't know. I don't think so, though. Harold H on YouTube. AJ Brown's a good player. I think him and Corey Davis, Elijah Moore would be a top 5 wide receiver room. And then we go get Sauce and Edge in first, safety, linebacker, offensive line, day 2. 100%. I think you got to get a developmental, like interior or tackle, depending on how it kind of goes. I'd like a tackle on day 2. That'd be fine. Safety, there's a couple. Daxton from Michigan, Scene from Alabama. Linebacker, we'll see how much they like it. I don't know if they go linebacker on day 2, probably more so day 3. Because they like Hamza, they like Jamian, and then I think they may get another high floor vet system guy. Keep an eye out for that. Steven, Karlaftis and Walker edges 3 and 4 in this draft. I disagree. I'm going to be honest. I hate both of the players, to be honest with you. I think Walker is a great run defender, and I think the pass rush is all projected. Again, you can check out my Connor Rogers interview. We talk more about that. So I would hate Walker on the Jets, to be honest with you. I would never invest a top 10 pick in Trayvon Walker. Not my bag, baby. And Karlaftis, I think, is an end of the round 1 guy and doesn't have that pop sizzle I'm looking for, quite frankly, as a bendy edge guy. I just think he's a high floor guy, which is good. If you don't want to bust, maybe take Karlaftis, but I just don't think he's the guy you're looking for. We're looking for the next John Abraham, not the next Calvin Pace, not the next Brian Thomas. To give a couple of old school Jet references there, I'm looking for a guy that could give me double-digit sacks. I don't think Karlaftis, to me, will ever be a double-digit sack guy. Walker, I don't think to me will ever be a double-digit sack guy. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys can replay this video in 10 years, but no, I don't think so. I don't like either of those players, to be honest, for the Jets. Christian Jameson, let's go through a couple more comments before we sign off. Hypothetically speaking, if Becton loses the left tackle job and doesn't want to be the right tackle, how much in a trade do you think he's worth? I don't know. I don't think maybe. So I guess we could play it out to your scenario. I think that not that he'd be cool with it, but, I think it's going to be a battle for left tackle, Fant and Becton. Whoever wins gets a job, and the loser, I think, is our right tackle, barring something unforeseen. But in your hypothetical scenario, I think Becton, and I wonder if this, because, because that would be in your scenario, hypothetically speaking, we're talking about a whole position battle. So this is late summer. Man, and Becton refuses to play right tackle. I can't even imagine it. Because here's the thing. I think they know the answer to that well before summer. So if they talk to Becton and say, hey, man, you're going to battle it out for left tackle, and if you lose, we're going to put you at right tackle, they better know, the coaching staff, well before the summer, right, and losing that job potentially, that he doesn't want to play it, because then you'd be screwed because Connor McDermott would be the next guy up. But I will rearrange this question for you, Christian, and say that if, they draft Icky or someone relatively high to play tackle, then you can anticipate a Fant or Becton trade. or they keep all three. I just don't think there's any way Becton refuses to play right tackle. If he's, more injured or more issues arise, maybe they trade him. And I think a top 50 pick, somewhere in that range, top 40 pick, because people are still going to be in love with that potential, quite frankly. So, but no, I don't think that scenario exists where, again, Becton just says, I don't want to play right tackle. Like, what? Like, the Jets would have had to know that long before. Let's see. I'm trying to go through this. Okay, Jared Helmuth. If the Jets don't get a wide receiver before the draft, do you think they'll double dip at the position or make a deal during the draft for a vet to pair with a rookie? Again, if Keelan Cole's still hanging out there, I could imagine them bringing him back. But a double dip at wide receiver is definitely in the cards. Not the 35. I would be flabbergasted if they did the 35-38 double dip. That's been a popular mock draft among fans. I don't see that coming, but that would be very interesting. Mr. Tuda, we're not getting our hopes up to not acquire either. That could very well be the possibility. Jet fans were a glutton for punishment. Would be a dream to have DK and Tyreek. Yeah, them two fire. Yeah, that would be cool. But I just don't think that. Obviously, that's not going to have Tyreek's in Miami, but they wouldn't go that aggressive. But they are trying to look for one. Charles M on YouTube. What do you think the most JD would be willing to give up for DK? Well, I'll say this. Obviously, he went pretty aggressive for Tyreek, but there was a line, right? Like they could have overpaid contractually for Tyreek. So they got the package. Chiefs agreed to 35, 38, 69 for Tyreek Hill and a late third-round pick. They agreed to that. So that was the package. But Joe Douglas was not willing to go crazy, contractually speaking, for Tyreek Hill and pay him like $35 million a year or something stupid. That's not Joe Douglas's thing. So he obviously is a line in the sand kind of guy. So I think there is a limit. I think he would be – I don't think he's willing to give up 10th overall. I'm going to say that bluntly. I think he'd give up 35, 38, or maybe like 35, 69, and a conditional like third or something. Like I think he's going to protect himself in a way because, again, DK is not as great and as great as I think he could be. He's not as proven, obviously, as he's not as proven as Tyreek Hill. So I think that's a factor as well. Let's try to go rapid fire here through a lot of these questions that you guys have remaining. And again, you guys can always hit me up on social media. I'll try to get to your questions at BoyGreen25 on Twitter. Christian Jameson, what are your thoughts on James Cook, Brian Robinson Jr.? Those are the kind of backs I'm looking for to complement with Michael Carter. To me, I'm personally a Tyler Algier fan out of BYU. I think he'll be a day 3 pick, which would be a nice compliment. But James Cook, of course, relative to Dalvin Cook, brings a little chutzpah there out of Georgia. Brian Robinson Jr. out of Alabama does have some powerness to him too. We'll see. I think they should grab a power back. Look for day 3 for that. Both of those guys are very interesting and would be high on my board. Again, Tyler Algier is my favorite. John Bradley, how far do you see Ojabo dropping after this unfortunate injury? I've heard some draft people say end of round 1. Some will take the chance with the 5th-year option. I could see somewhere in that early 2nd round as well because he is so gosh darn talented. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to see all your questions. Again, another reminder, YouTube guys, hit the thumbs up on the video, hop on over. Makes a tremendous difference for me. And also, we're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the 2022 NFL Draft. We have a month to get there. So spread the good word. It's New York Jets content all the time. Again, youtube.com/BoyGreen25. Try to help me to get to 2K, baby, if you can. We'll try to do some Jets giveaways in the future. There's a lot of fun stuff coming, so help us get there if you can. Salmon Jets, and info on DeAndre Hopkins' contract off the top of your head. Is it sensible to think of a trade? I don't imagine Hopkins gets traded, but the contract number is somewhere in that 27.5. It was a short-term contract extension he got from Cardinals, but no, I don't think so. He'd be a nice player, though. That would be crazy to go from Houston to Arizona to New York. I don't anticipate that happening, but he's a really good player. We need a new coach. How the hell did we let JC go to Buffalo? This is an unpopular opinion. I think James Conrad is going to do very well with Josh Allen. I think he's got more gas in the tank that people know. And by the way, he's been one of the best Jets free agent acquisitions over the last couple of years. We've bought so many free agents that have sucked for the Jets, injured or whatever. Like, wow, I think Jameson's going to be good. Steven, Jermaine Johnson is a bust. I'm not a big Jermaine Johnson guy. He's an older player. Popped this year, popped at the Senior Bowl. There's lots of love. Trevor Sycamore is a big fan of him. I'm not Connor Rogers is a big fan of him. You'll hear from Leger Duzable tomorrow on my YouTube show that he's a big fan of him. I'm not really that big of a fan. Now, that's an interesting trade possibility. Again, we've talked about this in the past where a potential first round swap, right? Like Seattle's at 9, so maybe move up 9 to 4 and swap some things around. That could be possible. That could be possible. Okay. I'm trying to blast through a few more of these before I sign off. Let's see. Salmon Jet signing that kicker. Does that mean JD is all in this season? Greg Zerline. Yeah, if that's the message that they're all in, that's kind of funny. Here's what I'll say about Zerline, real quick. My concern with Eddie Pinheiro, who was 8 for 8 last year for the Jets, he was perfect in the 5 games that he played. My problem is limited sample size, super limited sample size. He has been in the league since 2019. He missed all of 2020 with a groin injury. Again, even though he was so good, the Jets they owed it to themselves to bring somebody else in. And Zerline is a super proven player. Again, remember the last time the Jets grabbed a former Cowboys kicker, Nick Folk. That turned out pretty well. So maybe Zerline, Legatron, Big Z. He's got so many great nicknames. Maybe he's the guy. Here's the thing I'll say, though, is they need to bring in competition. They did. Zerline's coming off kind of a questionable year, around 82% conversion rate, which is not great. That was 25th in the NFL last year. But the thing is that he was coming off offseason back surgery, so that could have affected the swing a little bit there. But I do like Zerline. I think he's a really good player and good bringing competition. He's a quote-unquote front runner for the job, but we'll kind of see how all that translate. Guys, there's a million questions here, but we'll have to get to them next time. And again, you can always check out my channel and always drop your questions. YouTube.com/BoyGreen25. Please, everybody, I see we got like 100 people in the room right now. Please take a few moments, open up a new tab, hop on over to youtube.com/BoyGreen25. I am Boy Green, the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. We hop on here all the time, answer all your fun questions, everybody, and do a lot of fun jazz. So I really would love it if you could show your support for the channel. Again, youtube.com/BoyGreen25. Hit a thumbs up for the video and hit subscribe. We're trying to get to 2K, baby, 2,000 subscribers by the NFL draft and above. Can you help me get there? Please, if you can, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by for a quick video, everybody, and we will see you next time. Thanks. Peace out, baby.